Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Madeleine Parker. I hope this is loud enough. I'm feeling like I need to speak up louder. This video is going to be about soul levels 5, 4, we're going to talk a little bit about soul level 4, transitioning into soul level 5, and then we'll go up into 6. My last couple of videos my first video was an introduction to this and described where I get this information from, the story behind it, and the purpose of our soul coming through multiple lives. The reason we travel through multiple lives, it is so that we become more light-filled, more light-fortified, and the soul, it comes down initially in a soul level 1 with a sort of a smaller soul, more density, more dark density, and then it leaves as a very full of light vibrational energy from divine, and a lot of the dark energy in the soul has been displaced by more light energy. And how that works is that through every life that we live, we experience stress and strain, which causes us to call in and call for more light from the divine. And every time we struggle and we call in for light from spiritualism and for more spiritual infusion from light source, the more we lighten our light body spirit, and the more we upgrade to a more spiritual, shall we say, less dense version of ourselves, and then eventually we become what they call purified soul, where we become very filled with light, and our dark is that little white dot in the little black dot in the yin yang symbol of a lot of mass light. So through multiple lives, we displace through stress and challenges and strife by turning to light energy for soul fulfillment to displace dark. And every time we do that, it's like a battery. The source becomes more fortified. Our soul becomes more source fortified in light. So I'm just going to quickly turn the water off. Okay, so every time we call for more, we struggle and we suffer, when we call for more source light, our soul increases in light body, and we become more empowered being by light power, source power, and which is the energy of an ability to materialize and to create more abundance and to be more co-creative with the spiritual energy in co-creating abundance. So your level 1 souls are very low materializing powers. They're not self-sustainable. They don't have skills. They have 0 skills. They have very low body integration, soul-body integration. When the soul leaves, there's very strong physical soul integration abilities. But the level 1 soul is very, very not fully in body and not really present. It's hard to connect with them. They tend to be homeless, but that you can hear more about in my other video. They don't self-sustain their own existence. They don't have the skills. And then the second level are your criminals, who are very angry because they've been victimized, and as vulnerable ones, they come back as entitled angry 2s, who victimize vulnerable. And then you get the 3 levels, who seek a sense of externalized power, uniforms, position, titles, hierarchies, why can't I say that word? Hierarchy. Anyway, elite, or those kind of positions that make you seem on the outside as though you have a lot of source power, which the soul then discovers the darkness. So just remember that every level has a certain amount of darkness. So your 3 level is going to be 70% dark, 30% light. Your level 7 soul is going to be 30% dark, 70% in the light. Your 5 level soul, which is me, is going to be 50-50, completely half and half. So back to level 3. So the level 3s are discovering a sense of power through overpowering the vulnerable, and overpowering as well as the 2s, but feeling powerful above less powerful people, kind of energy. And then you get your 4s, where the soul sort of transforms into a sort of consciousness or awareness of a feeling and heart experience, because of all the downfall of having experienced really traumatic experiences from living a more materialistically focused life. Comes with a lot of pain and karmic suffering for the soul, a lot of physical battery and tough things. So the soul starts to seek some sort of escape from its dark through another form, and it goes towards music and art, because it can actually, instead of being ashamed of the soul's darkness, it can bring its darkness out and turn it into something beautiful, and it can actually heal this darkness in the soul and infuse more divine light into the soul dark body through the arts and through healing. And it heals other. They serve the whole world that way, because this is the music and the art and the creations that heal everybody, because it's healing that soul, it also heals others. And then at the end of the day, you know, the 4 level is still, it's always having to pedal that bike to be in the light. It's always got to keep that going in order to be in the light, and they get tired by the end of this 4th level. The soul then seeks some other solution to the dark that doesn't have to be constantly sustained by their efforts. So there's this sort of shift from the soul to seek real spiritualism, or what's true, or because at the end of the day, after they've created and performed, they then return to their 40-60% dark light ratio, which is still 60% heavy in the dark. So there's a heavy feeling for the soul. And so then they then seek light through spiritualism because of the hardships they experience because they've taken their music or their art to the peak point of their talent, to the highest level of talent. These are your famous performers, your dark performers that create the most, like Beethoven, that music that heals us all. But they were healing their soul and creating music with their harmony with their darkness. So in the level 5 soul, they now want to they don't want to have to it's like the soul wants to just be in the light, and so it then becomes a 5 level soul where it seeks sort of unconditional light, where you don't have to earn it, you don't have to like be good enough for it or something, you know, that kind of an experience. So it seeks the real source of divine or light or alleviation of the dark from a way that seems to sustain, because in the 4 level it didn't sustain. So this is when the soul becomes spiritual seekers, spiritual students, spiritual teachers who teach, like me, I'm a level 5 soul. They teach spiritualism to integrate spiritualism into their soul, so it becomes more the truth of who this soul now is, which is someone who's going to operate predominantly more in the light than in the dark. And level 5s are sort of easy to recognize. They tend to be people who are sort of lost. They don't really know what to do. They don't know where to go in life, because they've let go of a whole way of identifying, of existing via the material and via the outward appearance of a soul. So level 5s, you can recognize, they tend to be sort of a bit frumpy and sort of lost as to who they are as an identity, as to what they want to do. They tend to be more successful later in their lives when they really sort of align more with a spiritual aspect of themselves, which they can't find right away as 5s. You go many lives in each level. Like you probably have about 10 lives as a 5, maybe more. But in the 5 life, I'm in the upper level 5 level, where I'm really starting to transition more towards a 6, which is the level of high service. So in 5 transition 6, you get the soul coming forward to be of service, motivating more of a place of service. And then your high level 6s are your life of grandest purpose. This is when you live. I jump around because it sort of has to, it's not extremely linear. It's linear, but to get to understand it, to jump around helps you to understand it, because on the level 7 soul, they are purely, that is the respite life. So up the 6.7 soul, right there at that midpoint, the soul does its life of highest, grandest purpose, like your Steve Jobs or somebody, where all your previous lives were all in planning and preparation of skills leading you to your life of grandest purpose, which is your 6th level life. And those are your very high, you know, servicing people who really do change the world and create the world, because they come in and sacrifice their life for that purpose. And these lives then come back as level 7s, which is the vacation life in a way. It's the out of the limelight life. It's in the background life. It's the respite. It's the calm. It's the soul vacation in a way, that the soul gets to sort of enjoy just existence. And a closeness with itself, knowing itself, enjoying itself, kind of a life. And then we go into the 8th level, which I'll talk about later. But back to the 5 and 6. In the 5 levels, you get, the soul is the wake-up ascension period for the soul. Because in life, in every life we live, we have an ascension period, and which is where we transform, where we become more aware of something more soulfully rich for us in our direction, where we shift direction. And so we shift motive, as it were. So as a 5-level soul, you become more motivated from a different place than you were as the 4-level, and you become centered now on seeking a sustainable experience with the light energy. Through spiritual practices, through spiritualism, through teaching spiritualism, and they tend to be, they are of service, of course. They come forward of service to do this, but the 5-level soul is very seeker, and they are the fresh expression. They bring spiritualism a new sense of reinvigoration. These are the soul, even though you're not your fully enlightened souls like your level 10s and 9s. They are the reinventorings of the wheels, so that it reignites or re-inspires the complacent, because the higher level souls tend to be a little complacent, and the darker level souls need it's the higher levels communication of spiritualism is too high for the lower level souls. It's too unobtainable, too unreachable. So there's a sort of midpoint where this 5-level soul can service both sides. So 5-level, you think, how can a 5-level soul service a higher level soul? Well, younger souls are very, very much a purpose to the greater good. They very much bring understanding to a lot. They teach us. They are actually our teachers as well. But our higher level teachers and the higher level souls tend to get complacent in life. They tend to sort of ride on their high tails of high vibrational natural frequency, because they just naturally resonate at a higher frequency. When your soul, every soul level, your soul raises a frequency level which has a natural ability to sort of effortlessly attract a certain level of abundance. Your 1-level soul is only attracting a very minor level of abundance, if any, because it doesn't have very much magnetic source energetic attraction power. So your level 5s are seeking an understanding and a clarity on how to find a sustenance of light and a relationship with the light that sustains from them being dominantly in the dark. So they now predominantly exist in the light. They consciously become aware of the light, and they consciously fuse with light energy, teach it in order to fuse it with the soul. Anything else I can say about a level 5? They tend to have darker childhoods and happier adulthoods, but a lot of people you could say that with. But some of the characteristics that when I do reads for people and I work with people, I often am asked what soul level they are, and if I can work with them on that. And it's very easy for me to discover what soul level you are. I can just tell by what motivates you, because what happens is our soul is going up to our life of grandest purpose, which is at the tippy top, and then we come down as far as our motivation factor to be of service, and to sort of like have a mission, kind of an energy. All souls, all lives have a mission, but as far as like after the life of grandest purpose, your mission as a soul is to help the younger souls. But up until that life of grandest purpose, you are here to develop your skills in order to be the highest service that you're here to be, that you were created for. So I can tell where you are on this path, whether you're on the other side of your talent or whether you're building it up to the peak. And that's how I can determine what level soul you are. So 5s are very hard in a way to gauge, because we're not at the peak yet, but we're kind of coming up towards the peak there, and we still have quite a bit of battling of darkness that we're dealing with. But it's a very motivating factor for the 5s and the 6s. They're very driven and motivated by not being in the dark. They're like, out of there, out of that. They're like, whoa, I'm getting out of that. That's been way too hard for too many lives. So they get this big motivation factor for 5s and 6s. They're very motivated, driven people. And so are your 4s, by the way. They're all, actually, I take that back, 3s are motivated too. Everybody's kind of motivated. The least motivated people are your higher levels. That's one of the things. So where am I taking you now? To the 6th. So to say a little bit about the 6th level, they really are self-sacrificial. They're the martyrs. They come and deliver a progressive material function, like Steve Jobs is the one that comes to mind. And I would think the Facebook guy, why am I forgetting his name? Mark Zuckerberg would be like a 6th level, typical 6th level soul. They do things that changes the world. And I don't know what kind of a guy Mark Zuckerberg is. I don't know if he's a good guy or not, but his soul his purpose has, what he has done with Facebook has progressed, made a huge progression in the world. So sixes are going to do things that really progress technology, that progress society, that because all your lives prior to that were in development of that, so that when you come in your sixth level life to perform your highest, grandest life of purpose, you are literally, that's why it just seems to flow for them. It just seems to happen because they've got all their ducks in a row. When it's going to happen, how it's going to go, it's all planned, and they are go, gadget, go with that. So I know several sixes, and they have a lot of balls in the air. It's hard. They get a lot of balls in the air, but they are rewarded for this. Fives and sixes can lose a personal life, a connection with a personal life, which is why in the seventh life you have, it is all about your personal life. More about that, let's just say on the heavier, dominant, energetic field of the seven, which is how I determine whether someone is a seven or not. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and do like this video if you like it, and do subscribe. And also I have workshops coming this week. I've started a series of ascension workshops where I teach as many people as we can fit in. It's fun. And email me below. This week we have one coming in on chakra clearing meditations, and I teach you how to do an inner dialogue with your chakras. We take notes, we go into deep meditation, and everybody takes notes. We have a discussion, and we talk about healing the energies, or what comes out in these meditations from our chakra energetic fields or pools. You know, we have 7 of them. Each chakra correlates to a dimension. So if we have a blocked chakra, you're blocking the energetic flow field with that dimension. So it's a very good thing to do. So yes, feel free to email me if you would like to know more about that. And thank you so much for watching. Namaste.